Hello, my happy crumping wargamers! Today we are going to be talking about the actual physical steps, well, digital steps that you can be taking to become the single best Warhammer 40,000 player in the entire freaking world that you can possibly be. We're going to be going through actual action steps that you're going to be taking in your day-to-day games that you can use to just improve your skills constantly. The first announcement I have before we get right into the big pick of the video is that the Discord is live. The Happy Crumpin' Wargaming Discord is live. There is a free section for all of you beautiful grats and gets to be joining in. If you want to be a free Buddha, please pop in as a free member. But if you want access to the more in-depth channels, then feel free to sign up with my coffee link. It is down in the description. It is $4 a month. Essentially, you just get to support me and all the content that I get to create as I'm trying to push more and more quality content out towards you. There is opportunities for coaching that's coming up now. So now I am actually offering my coaching, and I'll have a video out here in a little bit on exactly what a coaching call really does entail. There's a lot of other benefits that's going along with it. You're going to get exclusive videos on the Discord. You're going to get access to a lot of our wonderful, wonderful members who are really high-level players throughout the world. And we've got awesome mods and administrators who are going to be helping you become the best wargamer in the world. We also have Nerd Health, which is going to be breaking down the mathematics of health and fitness and making it a lot easier for you, because health is not nearly as complicated as people make it. I think people overcomplicate everything about health, and so we're going to break all of that down for you as well in there. It's just a little free. It's not the main appeal, but it's a little freebie that I'm giving all of my beautiful Discord members. So that is live. You can sign up on Coffee to support me, and without further ado, let's get into this freaking video. All right, so how the heck are we going to be getting better at Warhammer? Well, there's a couple of different steps. Let's go through some of the obvious ones first. First off is you got to practice. Most people you're just not playing enough to actually get better at the game. If you're trying to get better at basketball, are you ever going to get better because you go and play once a month? No, you're not going to get better at basketball because you go and shoot the ball once a month. If you're trying to get better at CrossFit, are you going to get better because you work on your Olympic lifting once a month? No, you're not. So in all reality, you can't play once a month and expect to get significantly better at Warhammer. That doesn't mean that you need to be playing like I play. I'm playing 4 times a week, 5 times a week. But you do need to be increasing your repetitions. 2 times a month is better. 4 times a month, so ideally weekly, or maybe you play once every weekend. If you're playing at that pace, you can absolutely become really, really good at this game. And I understand for a lot of people that's not quite feasible. So there's a couple different ways we can do this. One, you can go and find a local gaming club. Where I'm located here in Oslo, Norway, we have an amazing club called 2D6. If you're anywhere in the region, you should 100% join. Where there's a lot of different gaming clubs around the world. You're going to have them sponsored by local stores. Sometimes they're independent. Doesn't matter, but it's going to be a place where a bunch of like-minded people get together and just play games together. But it's a great way to have like the gaming there for you that you can just constantly engage with other players. A lot of times, another benefits of having these clubs is that they're going to have all the terrain there for you. Sometimes, if it's a club like mine, they'll even have painting stations set up for you as well. So you need to be playing more. If you don't have access to a club, well, you're probably like the majority of people, and you play in your garage with some buddies. That's great. See if you can get a regular scheduled gaming night, whether that's going to be every Saturday or every other Saturday. You guys get together and you play games. Then, number 3 option, if you don't have a bunch of local people who want to play, if you can't get access to a club, if maybe you have bad hygiene and no one wants to hang out with you, well, then one of the things that you can do is you can hop on TTS. If you're not familiar with what TTS is, that is Tabletop Simulator, and it is an amazing way to be able to engage with the community across the entire world. Literally at any point in time, you can always find someone willing to play online. There's a lot of really great Discord servers for that. One of the benefits of being a member of Happy Crumpin' Wargaming is that there's always skilled people there ready to play with you. But you also have like the Tabletop Simulator Discord. You've got Copenhammer. You've got Try Hard League. So there's lots of different Discords. That's probably the best place to get on if you're trying to find more Tabletop Simulator games. I suggest joining the Happy Crumpin' Wargaming Discord if you're trying to find more people to play with. So that's the first one. You need just to practice more. All right, cool. Then the next step is you need to be practicing intentionally. Most people, when they're hopping into playing Warhammer, what they're doing is they're just throwing themselves on the table and they're like, okay, cool, let's win this game. Oh, crap, I didn't win. I lost that game. Well, even in loss, you can actually get significantly better at the game. So here's what I want everyone to do. For every single game that you play from now until forevermore, I want you to have a very specific goal for each one of these games. I do this all the time. I do this especially when I'm up against a matchup that I know I'm going to lose. Say I'm playing Elder, it is what it is. What I want to make sure that I do is like, okay, I set goals for myself in this game. And here's an example of that. My goal for this game is to pre-measure everything. I never want to have an unexpected deep strike hit me. That is awesome. So every single time you move a model, before and after, you're going to take your tape measure out and you're going to go, okay, here's a 9-inch bubble, here's a 9-inch bubble. So this particular game, you don't care if you win, you don't care if you lose. What you're going to make sure is you are going to screen appropriately so that no one will ever get a deep strike surprise on you or a rapid ingress surprise or anything like that. So having that goal in your mind, if you do that for 1 game, 2 games, suddenly every game that you play thereafter, you're going to automatically do it without having to think about it. But that is such a powerful skill that you have now developed because you just dedicated a little bit of brain power to it twice, maybe 3 times, okay? So play intentionally. Another example of this could be is today I'm practicing winning my deployment. This deployment is one of the most challenging parts of the entire game. People always screw it up because they don't know. It's like, okay, how do I deploy? Well, when you're deploying, and we're going to have an entire video on deploying specifically, it's going to be posted to Discord first. So if you remember, hey. Anyway, I digress. So when you're going through your deployment, what I want you to do is I want you to start thinking about, it's like, okay, why am I putting this unit here? Why am I putting this model here? What is its goal? What is it going to accomplish this game? So sometimes people will just do what's called phase practice. I had a conversation with John Lennon of Art of War, and he gave some amazing insight. As a matter of fact, I'll link that down below. If you guys want to go check that out, you totally should. The guy's an absolute champion. And one of the things that he was talking about, well, we can do phase practice. And this is something that you can do in your garage. You and your buddies, if you want to play a big game, that's awesome, play a game. But how about before you play your game, you guys do 2 rounds of deployment practice. So literally the only thing you do is you do the deployment phase for each side. He does his deployment, you do your deployment, but back and forth. And honestly, after that, after you're done with deployment, maybe you play the first movement phase and you say, oh crap, I screwed up because now you're going to be able to do this and this and this. Or you go, hey, I did a great job because I'm blocking you here, here, and here. So you get an immediate feedback on how to deploy. And you just do that twice. So you deploy, you're done, you re-rack, and then you redeploy, boom, and then you play your game for fun. That is an amazing way to get better at the game. You do phase practice. So that's awesome. I highly, highly recommend you do some phase practice. Game plan. All right. I talk about this one a lot. You need to have a game plan when you're putting your models on the table. First part of your game plan is you need to identify how the heck your army scores. Are you a primary scoring army? Are you a secondary scoring army? Are you a uninteractive army? Like, are you guard? Is your job just to table the opponent? But you don't ever actually plan on scoring very much. You just have to kill your opponent and then score your points afterwards. Or are you a army that just doesn't need to kill the enemy and you're going to score your points regardless? So for example, Necrons, they don't really have to kill their enemy. What they're going to do is they're going to sit a block of Lich Guard on one objective, a block of Lich Guard on another objective. You're going to have a Reanimator that's going to be making sure they never die, and a Catacomb Command Barge to double their OC so that they're always going to hold those objectives. Meanwhile, you've got a Transcendent Satan that's just zipping around the battlefield doing whatever it wants to do, scoring any secondary at once, and it won't ever die. So that's how Necrons play. They don't need to kill you. All they need to do is get on their objectives and basically just stay there. It's actually kind of similar to the way that Custodes play, although Custodes tend to need to kill a lot more because they're not resurrecting at the same rate as Necrons are. Or are you an opponent who, say, Imperial Guard, you've got 1,000,000 indirect damage 3 shots. Is your goal to kill your enemy and then take the objectives? That's awesome, but you need to know what you have to do. And once you understand what your army does, you need to understand what your opponent's army does. And this is going to let you set your game plan. So you're going to know what you are going to do. I always say it when I go through my Custodes videos. When I'm playing Custodes, what I will do is I am going to take the objectives, and ideally I'm going to be out of line of sight, and I'm just going to stand on those objectives all game and do nothing else. Because what's going to happen is inevitably my opponent might be scoring a ton of secondary, but they can't get any primary. And in 10th edition, primary scores you 50 points and secondary scores you 40 points. So if you only score primary and your opponent only scores secondary, if you both max it out, you automatically win. Not to mention, 7 out of 16 secondaries are actually scored just by holding primary. So that is an amazing way for you to win the game. All right, so decide what you're going to do at the beginning of the game. Do it. That's what you're going to do. Occasionally, we might have to pivot because disaster strikes, but you need to figure out what your goal is and play that game plan. That's how you're going to win. Don't try to play reactively to your opponent. You need to get your game plan and implement your game plan. All right, I said game plan enough times. Let's move on to the next one. Stop blaming dice or the cards. This is a huge one. I hear all the time. I have people say, "Oh man, I lost that game because I had a 9-inch rerollable charge and my dice just screwed me." No. You didn't lose your game because your dice screwed you. You lost your game because you put yourself in a situation where you had to rely on a 9-inch rerollable charge to win the game. And guess what? 9-inch charge is a 27% success rate. If you have a reroll on it, it's going to be like a 48% success rate. So you have a low chance of making that charge. So if you're in a situation where you have to make a deep strike 9-inch rerollable charge, you didn't lose because the dice didn't come up 9. You lost because you put yourself in a crappy situation, and that's your fault. So what I want you guys to start doing is, as you're going through your games, I want you just to do a retrospective, okay? When you get to a specific roll where maybe you roll the 6 ones for your saves, and you're like, crap, I just lost the game. Well, 6 ones, it's a pretty bad dice roll, but it does happen. What could you have done to put yourself in a situation where you could have rolled those 6 ones and not lost the game? That's what I want you to start thinking about. Once you can stop blaming dice and stop blaming cards, you are going to be a much better player. The reason why I put cards up here is because of secondaries, okay? In 10th edition, secondaries are the best they've ever been. They're absolutely amazing. People think it's unfair because, oh, what if you just draw bad cards turn 1? It's irrelevant because when you choose to score tactical, if you're in 10th edition, when you play secondaries, you get to choose either fixed or you get to choose tactical. Fixed secondaries are a fantastic option for a lot of armies. And then it's never randomized. You know that you're going to try to assassinate, or you know that you're going to try to cleanse, or you know that you're going to try to deploy teleport hummers. And that's what you build your army to do. If you choose tactical, like me personally, I always choose tactical, you must build your army to be able to score tactical. And if you don't build your army to score tactical, and you still play tactical and you draw bad cards, it's your fault. It's not the card's fault. You chose an army that's not made to play tactical, and then you chose the random tactical. That was dumb. That was a mistake that you made. So if you make an army that can play tactical, you can't get screwed by cards. All right. I mean, technically, everything is possible. Like, you could roll literally nothing but ones all game, and then, okay, at that point in time, you can blame the dice. But you got to stop doing it because I think I've lost one game, and I've played well over 400 to 500 games. I've maybe 2 games tops that I've actually lost due to dice. So, guys, dice are never the answer. The game I lost at the WTC was not because of the dice, even though I rolled terrible. It was because I made a really bad decision that forced me to need really good rolls to win, which, I didn't get those good rolls. So I lost because of my decision, not because of the dice. And this happens to everyone all the time. All right, let's move on. Do not needlessly expose your army. This is actually a really, really important one. A lot of times people will just let their opponent shoot them for no reason. And it's like in 10th edition, shooting is so lethal. Why would you ever expose your army if you're not able to capitalize on it? One of these things happens, right? It's like I played a game against a very, very good guard player the other day. And what I did, I very specifically, in my deployment, I left him one angle where if he wanted, he could shoot his Rogel Dorn at my beast boss on Squigosaur. And I told him, I was like, hey, listen, I'm putting this guy as bait because you could kill him and that would be bad for me. But you won't kill him, and that's going to put you in a bad position, which is going to let me charge you turn 1 without the wall, and then I'm going to screw you. And guess what he did? He was like, okay, cool, well, I'm going to kill that thing. And he didn't, and then I moved forward. So I left him that one very specific model there as bait, and I told him about it too. What he should have done is he should have said, okay, cool, I'm not going to move my tank up. I'm just going to pass on my first turn. I'll shoot some indirect at you. Won't do very much. No big deal. I'll let you move out, and then I'll shoot you. So what happened is he tried to take the initiative when it didn't benefit him at all. Like, at best, he moved his Rogodorn up. If things had gone perfectly for him, he would have killed a Beast Boss on Squigosaur. So his Rogodorn would have killed like a 165-point model, which I didn't need for my army. It was just a nice thing to have. And then I still would get a first turn charge, and I would be able to destroy him. What he should have done is he should have just said, okay, cool, I'm just going to move myself in position so that in your turn 2, I'm going to obliterate you. So do not needlessly expose your enemy. And this is not just for melee armies, right? It's actually for shooting armies as well. If you can get your Death Star out there and you can maybe shoot one thing and you can kill an orc truck, Why would you expose it? That's stupid. You don't need to kill an orc truck. You need to wait, set yourself up so that the next turn when your opponent's out in the open, that's when you're alive to fire and destroy everything. All right, so you need to identify your go turns, and you need to not needlessly expose yourself. This was a really big point that John Lennon actually brought up in our conversation, which once again will be linked down below. And I think I've just got one more today. Don't try to win turn one. This was some brilliant wisdom. So listen, guys, games are not won in turn one, but they're absolutely lost in turn one. You don't need to take every objective, and you don't need to table your opponent turn one. That is the greatest way to lose the game, because you're going to overextend yourself and your opponent's going to be able to take advantage of it. Guys, follow these steps and you will become a better player. If you're trying to become a better Warhammer 40K player, join the Happy Crumpin' Discord. It is linked down below. We have a lot of experts who are constantly in there answering questions. If you want to support me and become a actual grat and get, or if you want to join the coaching program and become one of the few and the proudly Adeptus Crumpstodes, follow the link down below and make sure you go to my Ko-Fi or Coffee. Sign up. It's $4 a month. It really supports me, helps me get these videos coming out to you. Eventually, I'm going to start getting some better editing in here as well, and that's all going to be because of you guys supporting me. I really appreciate everyone's time and attention. If you have more questions for me, don't hesitate to ask. I'm going to be active in the Discord at all times, and never feel bad about tagging me, asking for a question, or any of our mods or administrators, because we love helping out, guys. So hop on in there. I can't wait to see you, and until next time, happy crumpin'.